Helena's hand trembled as she held mine for the last time. Her eyes, once full of life, now struggled to stay open. The heart monitor beside the bed emitted irregular beeps, each one reminding me that time was running out. It was then that she whispered the words that would change everything I thought I knew about my family. "Raphael, I need to tell you, before it's too late." I leaned closer, feeling my heart clench. Helena was my grandmother, the matriarch of the family, the strongest woman I knew. Seeing her like this, frail between white hospital sheets, seemed impossible. But what she was about to reveal was even more unbelievable. "Grandma, there's no need to talk now. Save your strength," I said, swallowing back tears. But she squeezed my hand with surprising strength for someone in her condition. "No. You need to know. Everyone needs to know the truth." Her voice was weak, but there was an urgency in it that froze me. "About the fire. About that night." My blood ran cold. The fire. The one that had happened 30 years ago. The one that had killed my grandfather and changed the course of our entire family. I always knew there was something strange about that story. The official version never made complete sense to me. My grandfather, Alberto, had died in a fire at the old family factory. The authorities classified it as an accident, caused by a short circuit in the old electrical system. Case closed. But Helena's eyes always filled with tears when someone mentioned that night, and they weren't just tears of grief. "What do you mean, Grandma? What about that night?" Helena closed her eyes for a moment, and I thought I had lost her. But then she opened them again, and I saw something I had never seen before on her face. Relief mixed with fear. "It wasn't an accident, Raphael. It never was." The words hung in the air between us like a sentence. The world seemed to stop. The noise of the hospital disappeared. All I could hear was the blood pulsing in my ears. "What do you mean it wasn't an accident?" My voice came out louder than I intended. The nurse at the door looked in our direction, worried, but Helena waved slightly for her to go away. "Your grandfather. He wasn't the man everyone thought he was." She paused, her lungs struggling for air. I wanted to tell her to stop, but something told me this confession was too important to interrupt. The factory. He was using it to launder money. Dirty money, Raphael. From very dangerous people. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My grandfather? The man whose picture was prominently displayed in the living room? The man everyone in the family revered as a hero? A self-made man? A man who built an empire from scratch? This can't be true. "Grandma, you're confused. The medication." "No!" She interrupted me with more force than I thought she still had. "I'm lucid for the first time in 30 years. And you need to hear this." Helena started coughing, and I offered her the glass of water from the side table. She drank slowly, her eyes never leaving mine. I could see the determination in them, the need to finally release this weight she had carried for decades. "Continue," I said softly, still processing what I had heard so far. "I discovered everything 6 months before the fire. I found documents, recorded conversations he kept hidden in the office. His grandmother was working with a drug cartel, Raphael. She used the factory to process shipments, to forge documents. My mind was racing. If this were true, everything I knew about my family was a lie. The company that still bears his name, the scholarships established in his memory, the commemorative plaques scattered throughout the city. Why did you never tell me? Why did you keep it to yourself?" Helena let out a bitter smile. "Because I was a coward. And because I was afraid of what they would do to you. To your mother, to your uncles. You were just children." "Who are them, Grandma?" "The men Alberto worked with. When I confronted his grandfather that night, he said it was too late to leave. That if we tried to expose them, they would kill the whole family. One by one." Her tears began to fall freely now. "But I couldn't keep sleeping next to a criminal. I couldn't. My heart was racing." "What did you do?" "I gave him an ultimatum. Either he confessed everything to the authorities and entered the witness protection program, or I would go to the police myself." Helena paused to breathe, each word costing her immense effort. "He laughed at me. He said I didn't have the courage, that I loved too much the comfortable life he had provided us. And that's when everything changed. That night, the night of the fire, he wasn't supposed to be at the factory. It was a Sunday, but he received an urgent call. I heard it on the extension. Someone was threatening to expose everything. A former partner who wanted a bigger cut or he would go to the authorities. I was completely absorbed in the story, even though each revelation shattered a piece of the image I had of my grandfather. Your grandfather ran off. He said he needed to take care of it personally, burn some incriminating documents. I followed him, Raphael. Helena's voice broke. I got in the car and followed him to the factory. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe that I could stop him from doing something worse. And did you see what happened? Helena nodded slowly, her eyes distant, reliving that night. When I arrived, there was another car in the parking lot. I recognized the man getting out of it. It was Marcelo Fontes, a minority partner in the company. Or at least that's what we thought. In reality, he was the direct contact with the cartel. The name stirred a vague memory. Uncle Marcelo? My cousin Lucas's godfather. The same. Helena closed her eyes briefly. He was furious. I hid between the cars, but I could hear them shouting. Marcelo was saying that Alberto had become a risk, that he was too weak, that he was going to end up betraying everyone. I saw when Marcelo pushed his grandfather. Alberto fell, hit his head on a piece of metal equipment. There was blood. Helena was trembling now, and I covered her better with the blanket, even knowing that she wasn't trembling from the cold. I thought he had killed him right there, but then Alberto got up, staggering. They started fighting physically. Oh my God, Grandma! I should have called the police. I should have done something, but I was paralyzed with fear. Tears streamed down Helena's wrinkled face. Then I saw Marcelo grab something, a fuel can we used for the generators. He started throwing it on the floor against the walls. His grandfather tried to stop him, but he was too weak from the blow to the head. The horror of the scene formed in my mind. He set the fire on purpose. With his grandfather inside. Helena sobbed. Alberto pleaded. He said he had a family, children. Marcelo just laughed. He said the family would be better off without a weakling like him. And then, he threw the match. I couldn't speak. My grandmother, the woman who had always been synonymous with strength and dignity in our family, had witnessed a murder. She had carried this secret for 3 decades. Why didn't you tell the police afterwards? My voice was just a whisper. Because Marcelo saw me. Helena looked me straight in the eyes. When he was leaving, he saw me hiding between the cars. He came up to me, still smelling of smoke. And do you know what he said? I wasn't sure if I wanted to know, but I needed to. He said, Helena, what a tragedy. Your husband died in a terrible accident. And you will confirm this to the authorities, or your 4 children will have accidents too. One at a time. Starting with the youngest. Helena was trembling violently now. Your mother was only 12 years old, Raphael. 12. I couldn't. You were protecting your family. I held her hands, trying to offer some comfort. You did what you had to do. But there's more, she said. And I didn't know how there could be more. Marcelo continued the business. He took over the factory to help the widow. He used our name, our reputation, to expand the cartel's operations. Every penny this family has earned in the last 30 years is stained with blood. The revelation hit me like a train. I thought about the house where I grew up, the vacation trips, my education in expensive schools. All built on lies and crime. Why are you telling me this now? Helena tried to sit up a little, and I helped her adjust the pillows. Because Marcelo is still operating. And now he's recruiting the next generation. His cousin Diego. He started working directly with Uncle Marcelo last month. Diego, my 23-year-old cousin, recently graduated in business administration. We thought he was being groomed to eventually take over the company. He doesn't know what he's getting himself into, Raphael. None of you do. And I can't die carrying this burden, letting another generation be destroyed. Helena coughed again, harder this time. Here. She pointed to the drawer in the side table. There's an envelope. I kept copies of everything. Documents, photos, evidence. With trembling hands, I opened the drawer and took out the yellowed envelope. It was heavy. Decades of truth hidden in paper. What do you want me to do with this? The right thing to do. The thing I should have done 30 years ago. Helena looked at me with an intensity that cut to my soul. Go to the police. Tell them everything. Save Diego and the rest of the family before it's too late. Even if it means destroying the Santos name. The weight of the envelope in my hands felt multiplied 1,000-fold. Inside it lay the power to dismantle everything my family had built, to send people I loved to prison. Marcelo will deny everything. It's just his word against his. That's why I gathered evidence over the years. A weak smile appeared on Helena's face. When do you think I was knitting in the factory office? I was copying documents, taking photos, recording conversations. I never had the courage to use them. But now, you do. I looked at the envelope, then at my dying grandmother. She was passing me an impossible burden. But she was also giving me a chance to do what she never could. What if I can't do it? What if Marcelo finds out and comes after the family? Then you run. You take everyone away and run. Helena closed her eyes, exhausted. But at least they'll have a chance. While they're in his clutches, thinking it's all legitimate, they don't stand a chance at all. The heart monitor started beeping more irregularly. A nurse rushed in, followed by a doctor. "Sir, you'll have to leave," said the nurse, already checking Helena's vital signs. "No!" Helena opened her eyes wide, grabbing my hand. "One more minute, please." The doctor hesitated, but nodded. I leaned closer to Helena, my face inches from hers. "Promise me," she whispered. "Promise me you'll do the right thing. Not for your grandfather's memory. Not for me. But for the children. For the grandchildren and great-grandchildren yet to come. Free our family from this curse." "I promise, Grandma." She smiled, and it was the most genuine smile I'd seen on her face in years. As if a weight of decades had finally been lifted. "My good boy. So much like your mother. She was always the strong one. I always knew something was wrong, but I never had the courage to. Sir, now?" The doctor was firmer this time. I kissed Helena's forehead and stepped back, pressing the envelope against my chest. As the medical team worked around her, our eyes met once more. She made a movement with her lips. I couldn't hear it, but I read, "Thank you." I left the room with wobbly legs, the envelope feeling like it was burning in my hands. In the hallway, I found my mother, my uncles, and Diego. "How is she?" my mother asked, her eyes red from crying so much. How could I respond? How could I look at them knowing what I knew now? Diego was playing on his cell phone, oblivious to everything. My uncle Ricardo was on the phone with someone about business. My Aunt Paula was flipping through a magazine. All of them living a carefully constructed lie. "She's fighting," was all I could say. Marcelo Fontes arrived at that moment, elegant as always in his expensive suit. "How is my dear Helena?" His voice dripped with feigned concern. I looked at him differently now. I didn't see the loving uncle who had always been there for birthdays and graduations. I saw a murderer, a monster who had killed my grandfather with fire and terrorized my grandmother for 30 years. "Serious," I replied, carefully choosing each word. He placed his hand on my shoulder, a gesture I used to find comforting. Now it made me want to vomit. She was a strong woman, a true matriarch. We will all miss her dearly. There was something in his tone. A veiled threat? Or was it just my paranoia? Knowing what I knew? His eyes met mine, and for a brief moment, I thought I saw a glimpse of something dangerous there. Did he know Helena had spoken to me? "Excuse me," I murmured, turning to go to the bathroom. I locked myself in a booth and opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside were dozens of documents. Bank statements showing suspicious transactions. Photos of Marcelo with men I recognized from the news as arrested cartel leaders. Audio recordings on old tapes. And, at the bottom, a series of photographs from a security camera. It was from the night of the fire. Helena wasn't lying. The images were grainy and in black and white, but clear enough. They showed Marcelo and my grandfather arguing. The fight, the gallon jug being thrown. And, in the last photo, Marcelo leaving the building as flames began to rise from the windows. There was also a small card, written in Helena's elegant handwriting, for Federal Delegate Maria Santos. She is your cousin on your mother's side. She is one of the few people I completely trust. She will know what to do. Cousin Maria. I hadn't seen her since childhood, but I remembered her as a serious woman dedicated to her work. There was even some conflict years ago when she refused to accept a generous gift from the family business for a political campaign, saying she didn't want a conflict of interest. Now I understood why. She knew, or at least suspected. I put everything back in the envelope and left the bathroom determined. But when I returned to the hallway, chaos had taken over. Doctors and nurses rushed to Helena's room. The heart monitor had turned into a continuous, high-pitched sound. Code blue. My mother was screaming. My aunt was holding Diego, who had finally put down his cell phone and looked shocked. Should I go in? Should I be there? But then I saw Marcelo. He was away from the chaos, leaning against the wall, with his cell phone to his ear. He was smiling. Not a smile of joy, but of satisfaction. Like someone who had just crossed off an important item from a to-do list. Our eyes met across the chaotic hallway. The smile vanished from his face. He hung up the phone slowly, never breaking eye contact. Then he did something that chilled my blood. He gave a small nod, an acknowledgement, a warning. He knew. The time of Helena's death was recorded at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in March. 30 years, 5 months, and 13 days after my grandfather's death. The wake was an elaborate production. Marcelo, of course, insisted on paying for everything. It's the least I can do for the woman who was like a sister to me, he declared, with a hand over his heart and fake tears in his eyes. I watched him from afar, the envelope hidden in the lining of my coat. There were so many people there, so many familiar and unfamiliar faces. Politicians, businesspeople, community members, all touched in some way by the generosity of the Santos family. Diego came to talk to me during the wake. Dude, Marcelo offered me a promotion. I'm going to start dealing directly with the special clients. He said it's the most lucrative job in the company. My stomach churned. This was exactly what Helena had been trying to avoid. Diego, do you really know the company? Do you know where the money comes from? He laughed, completely innocent. Sure, man. Import and export. Logistics. Uncle Marcelo explained everything. And you never found it strange? The clients who never show up in person? The meetings that always happen in different locations? The cash payments? Diego frowned. You're sounding paranoid. That's how business works in the real world. Not everything is as transparent as it is in college classes. He walked away before I could answer, called by Marcelo from across the room. I saw the two of them talking, Marcelo with his hand on Diego's shoulder, exactly as he had done with me in the hospital. A gesture that seemed paternal, but now I saw it for what it really was, possessive, predatory. That night, after everyone had left, I returned to the cemetery alone. The fresh earth on Helena's grave seemed unreal. Impossible that that woman, so full of life, was now down there, silenced forever. But not completely silenced. She had given me a voice, a weapon. I picked up my cell phone and called the number I had found in Helena's papers. Detective Maria Santos answered on the third call. Hello, Cousin Maria? It's Rafael. Rafael Santos, Beatrice's son. There was a pause. Rafael? Wow, it's been so long. I'm so sorry about Helena. She was an incredible woman. Yes, and she asked me to talk to you. About something important. Very important. Another pause, longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Professional. Cautious. What kind of something? The kind that needs to be discussed in person. And in private. I understand. She didn't need any more details. Can you come to my house tomorrow? Not the office. My house. I'll send you the address. I hung up feeling both relief and terror. I was really doing this. There was no going back. When I got home, I found a message on the door. A simple business card from Marcelo Fontes with a message written on the back. We need to talk. Come to the office tomorrow at 9 a.m. Alone. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, the envelope beside me, Marcelo's card on the bedside table. Two paths, two completely different futures. If I were to meet with Marcelo, perhaps I could pretend I knew nothing. Continue living the lie. Keep the family together, at least on the surface. But condemn Diego and future generations to the same cycle of crime and fear. Or I could go to Maria's house, deliver the evidence, destroy everything the Santos family has built, but maybe, just maybe, save her in the process. At 6 in the morning, I made my decision. I took a long shower and put on my best clothes. If I was going to do this, I'd do it right. The envelope went into a briefcase. It looked more professional, less like I was about to betray my family. But was it betrayal? Or was it salvation? At 8 o'clock, I sent messages to my mother, my uncles, and Diego. Identical messages. I need to tell everyone something important. Family meeting at Grandma Helena's house tonight at 7 p.m. Please don't miss it. It's about the future of the family. So I called Marcelo. He answered on the first ring, as if he had been expecting it. Rafael, good of you to call. Are you still coming at 9? I can't. Something urgent came up, but I'll be at the family meeting tonight. We can talk there. Silence on the other end. What family gathering? I called a meeting at Grandma's house to discuss the future of the company and the family. You should be there too. After all, you're practically family. More silence. Then, I understand. Of course I'll be there. Rafael? Are you sure you know what you're doing? For the first time in a long time, I have it. I hung up before he could answer and drove to Maria's house. It was a modest residence in a middle-class neighborhood. Nothing like the mansions my family lived in. She was waiting at the door. Come in quickly, she said, looking out at the street as if she expected to be watched. Inside, the house was simple but cozy. Family photos adorned the walls, mostly with people I recognized. Our shared family. But I noticed there weren't any photos with Marcelo. Coffee? She offered. Please. We sat at the kitchen table and I placed the folder between us. Before you open this, you need to know that what's inside will change everything. It will destroy reputations, put people in jail, end businesses. Life as our family knows it will end. Maria looked at me with her intelligent, tired eyes. Rafael, I've been investigating Marcelo Fontes and his family's company for 15 years. 15 years. And I've never managed to get enough proof. He's careful. Very careful. But I always knew there was something rotten there. Always. Why didn't you ever say anything? To the family? And what could I say? That I suspected the man who helped raise you all was a criminal? Without proof? That would have only alienated me from everyone I love. She sighed. So I waited. I investigated in the shadows. And I waited for the truth to come out one day. I opened the folder and began spreading the documents out on the table. I saw Maria's eyes widen with each new piece of evidence. She picked up the photos of the fire and stared at them for a long time. Helena saw everything, I whispered. And she kept the secret for 30 years because Marcelo threatened to kill all her children. Maria closed her eyes, and I saw a tear roll down her cheek. That brave woman. She lived in terror for 3 decades to protect her family. And now she has passed this responsibility on to me, to do what she couldn't. Maria began organizing the documents, her analytical mind already at work. This is enough. More than enough. I can arrest Marcelo today. Freeze all assets. Start a full investigation. But, she looked at me, but it's going to be chaos. Your family will be left with nothing. The company will be shut down. Dozens of innocent employees will lose their jobs. Your family will be publicly exposed. I know. That's why I called the meeting for tonight. I want everyone to know the truth before it becomes public. They deserve it. Maria nodded slowly. You're braver than you think. or more foolish? I haven't decided which yet. Perhaps both, I admitted. But